Hello, my name is Joshua Foreman, and I'm doing the public lecture review for the public lecture I chose, which was Pattern Formation in Nature, Why is the Universe Not Boring by Stephen Morris. And so, given the title, it's all about, given the rules of entropy and how the universe is always chaotic given the second law of thermodynamics, why are there such beautiful, simplistic, clear patterns that happen in nature if life is supposed to be this giant chaotic mess of entropy, because nothing can form out of stability the way life forms. And so he goes through some examples about how one thing he lists is that nature does not want to optimize for efficiency. That was one of his big points, was that nature doesn't care in a way how efficient something is in terms of a process. It's not like things formed over time just because that's what makes it work. It's more like nature follows instability all the way to the end until something happens. For example, like a river normally flows straight, but even the smallest dent in a path could cause it to go all windy and cause, over years and years of erosion, make it a winding river. He also mentioned permafrost freezing and thawing. Eventually, it causes the soil to form stripes, just kind of out of nowhere. So there's like the big like crux is that there's always some emergent pattern coming from the chaos that doesn't seem to be able to be modeled and predicted from just the system that we have. Which I thought was really beautiful. And the reason why I chose this topic was it seemed easy enough to digest, but also very interesting because it's always cool to learn about like phenomena in nature and to see how the earth forms beautiful geometric patterns. I thought that was really interesting, and I'm really glad I chose this to attend. He also mentioned dunes and ripples in the desert forming from the wind. The same idea, how like wind, just a stream of air on what should be a uniform plane of sand, how does that form ripples? And he goes through some of the physics. No, I actually don't think he went through the physical explanation as to why the ripples form. Maybe he did, I don't remember, I'm sorry. But he did, after talking about natural occurrences, he went to actual experiments that helped model this idea. One of them was the Rayleigh-Benard convection experiment, which takes two plates. The bottom one is hot, the top one is cold, and you create enough of a temperature difference that convection forms, and you can like set up a cool lab with like a camera, and eventually if you increase the pressure enough, it forms like beautiful lines on this like observing plate. And if you increase the pressure even more, or is it temperature difference? It was some sort of variable that if you increase it enough, it goes from straight lines to lines perpendicular to the wall to eventually spirals. And he said that this is a similarity with, this is a similar effect to other experiments that are seemingly completely unrelated and have different mechanics entirely in terms of the physical phenomenon that go behind these patterns, but they still form. For example, like a shaker with water, something with the surface tension, like I couldn't follow the experiment entirely, but basically similar patterns form given a correct setup with just from like shaking water. And a similar thing with shaking sand, which apparently are two different ideas because sand is a granular solid and it doesn't have surface tension like water does. Another experiment was called the Maxey experiment, which involves pouring sand into a box and eventually so the sand is totally mixed up. It's of a lighter sand of one color and a heavier sand of another color, and it just splits off into beautiful lines. And there's retroactive explanations to why it happens, but it's like not predictable as a concept until you actually watch it happen, which is another thing that he pointed out, was that like we can't, like there's such an emergence of these patterns from the chaos that we can't accurately predict it without actually seeing it happen first. One thing I wanted to ask about, one thing I wanted to learn more about was the mathematical part of it, like the numerical part of it, like why does the golden ratio show up and everything. And yeah, thank you for watching this.